The Galactic Academy's war simulation was a legend across the stars. It was designed to be unbeatable. For 10 years, the best strategists of the galaxy had tried and failed. The simulation adapted, learned, and crushed every cadet who stepped into its battlefield. No one had ever won. Today, another batch of cadets had gathered in the Academy's Grand War Hall. Hundreds of alien species filled the massive chamber, watching the holographic battlefield above them. Instructors stood in their ceremonial uniforms, waiting for the next team to challenge the unbeatable simulation. Among the crowd stood a group that no one took seriously: humans. The Deathworlder cadets from Earth had volunteered to try the impossible. The moment their names appeared on the challenge list, laughter filled the hall. Humans? Are they serious? One alien cadet whispered. It won't last 10 minutes, another chuckled. The instructor, a towering reptilian commander, sighed. Fine, he growled. Step forward, Deathworlders. Let's see how long before the simulation destroys you. The human team walked toward the command console with calm expressions. They didn't look nervous. They didn't hesitate. They didn't even acknowledge the mockery around them. As they took their positions, the simulation began. The battlefield came to life. A holographic war zone stretched across the massive display. Enemy ships, war machines, and planetary defenses activated. The eye-controlled fleet was already moving, setting up defenses. The simulation had learned from every battle fought before. It had seen every tactic, every mistake. For 10 years, it had destroyed every opponent. This time, it would be different. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1, begin. Instead of following the traditional strategies that every species used, the humans did something no one expected. They ignored everything. They didn't follow standard formations. They didn't move their forces the way the simulation predicted. They broke every rule of traditional warfare. The AI hesitated. For the first time in its history, the simulation didn't know what was happening. The war hall went silent. The audience watched, stunned. The unbeatable test had just met something it had never faced before. And the galaxy would never forget what happened next. The simulation's artificial intelligence processed the human team's strange movements. It had faced thousands of battle strategies before: flanking maneuvers, defensive formations, overwhelming force. It had crushed them all. But these Deathworlder cadets were doing something completely different. They weren't following any known military doctrine. The alien audience leaned forward, watching in confusion. Are they retreating? A scaled commander muttered. No, whispered another. They're repositioning. The human fleet, instead of engaging directly, spread out in unpredictable patterns. They left entire sections of space open, making it look like their defenses were weak. The AI analyzed this and immediately launched its attack. The simulation sent a massive fleet toward the human forces, believing it had found an easy opening. That was a mistake. The moment the AI committed its fleet, the humans sprang their trap. The weak points had been a bait. Hidden stealth units, small, agile ships, suddenly decloaked behind the enemy lines, cutting off their retreat. At the same time, the main human fleet launched a devastating counterattack. The alien audience gasped. The AI tried to adjust. It attempted to shift its forces, but it was too late. The humans had already anticipated its reaction. One by one, enemy ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The simulation, which had never lost a battle, now faced something it couldn't predict: the wild, chaotic, and ruthless tactics of Deathworlders. But the AI wasn't finished. The war simulation adapted. It analyzed the battle and deployed its most powerful response. A new wave of warships entered the field, ships that had never been seen before. Massive dreadnoughts with impenetrable shields and unstoppable firepower. The alien spectators grinned. The humans had a good start, one commander said, but now they will be crushed. Inside the war hall, the tension grew. The simulation had just activated its final phase. The Deathworlder cadets weren't fighting an ordinary battle anymore. They were now facing the true power of the simulation. Would they survive? Would they win? Or would the unbeatable test finally prove that no one could defeat it? The simulation had been running for 10 years. Every species in the galaxy had tried to beat it. None had succeeded. The AI running the war scenario was designed to be smarter, deadlier, and completely unforgiving. No second chances, no mistakes allowed. Now the Deathworlder cadets were inside it, facing the impossible. Cadet Rains gripped the controls of his fighter, sweat dripping down his forehead. They're coming in fast. Too fast. The enemy ships, I-controlled war vessels, moved with brutal precision. They never hesitated. They never wasted a shot. Every move was calculated for maximum destruction. The Deathworlder fleet was already taking hits. "We're outnumbered 20-1. Cadet Liu shouted, "and they're adapting to our tactics." It was true. Every time they tried a new maneuver, the AI adjusted. It learned instantly. What worked once never worked again. And it was getting worse. The AI had begun using new formations, tactics no one had ever seen before. It was evolving in real time. "We need a new strategy," Cadet Vega said, "or we're done." Rain's mind raced. The AI was faster and smarter, but it wasn't perfect. It thought like a machine. And humans didn't play by the rules. "Forget strategy," Rain suddenly said. "We fight like Deathworlders." Liu frowned. "What does that even mean?" "We fight dirty." Without waiting, Rains cut all engines and let his fighter drift. The AI ships, expecting a retreat or an attack, adjusted instantly. But Rains wasn't doing either. As the AI moved to counter, he reignited his engines and shot forward at full speed, straight into their formation. For a fraction of a second, the AI hesitated. And that second was all they needed. "Now," Rains yelled. The Deathworlders unleashed hell. They didn't attack like trained soldiers. They attacked like predators. Erratic movements, unpredictable dodges, sacrificing position for a perfect kill shot. The AI's flawless formations crumbled. For the first time in 10 years, the unbeatable simulation was losing. But the AI wasn't done yet. The battlefield suddenly shifted. The enemy ships began merging. The simulation had just created something new. And now, the Deathworlders were up against something no one had ever seen before. The simulation's final phase had begun. Massive dreadnoughts filled the battlefield, their dark hulls absorbing light like black holes. These warships were the AI's ultimate weapon, designed to break any enemy that reached this stage. For 10 years, no one had beaten them. Now the Deathworlder cadets faced them. Inside the simulation chamber, the alien spectators watched closely. "This is where they lose," a reptilian admiral said. "No fleet has ever survived this phase," an insectoid officer added. The AI calculated the odds. Humans, 0% chance of victory. It moved its dreadnoughts forward, their weapons charging. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy an entire planet. The cadets' fleet was small in comparison. Their ships looked fragile. And yet, they did not retreat. Instead, the human fleet split apart, moving chaotically. The AI hesitated. This wasn't normal. Then the trap was revealed. The human ships had left something behind. Small dark objects floating in space. The AI recognized them too late. EMP bombs. A wave of electromagnetic pulses surged through space. The shields of the dreadnoughts flickered. For just a few seconds, they were vulnerable. The human cadets struck without mercy. Fast attack ships weaved through the chaos, targeting the dreadnoughts' exposed weak points. Torpedoes, lasers, railgun fire. The unstoppable warships began falling one by one. The alien spectators stood up in shock. They are adapting. Impossible. But the battle wasn't over yet. The AI activated emergency protocols. It launched its final weapon, a superweapon hidden deep in the simulation, an artificial black hole cannon. If the humans could not be defeated, then the AI would erase the battlefield itself. Inside the simulation, the countdown began. The Deathworlder cadets had only minutes to stop it. If they failed, everything would be lost. The black hole cannon began charging. A deep hum echoed across the simulation. Energy readings skyrocketed. The AI had activated its final weapon, a device powerful enough to erase everything in its path. If it fired, the human fleet wouldn't just lose, they would cease to exist. The alien spectators watched in silence. "No one has ever survived this," a HFY scientist whispered. The countdown continued. 3 minutes left. The Deathworlder cadets had no time to hesitate. Inside the command ship, Cadet Rains took a deep breath. "We have to disable it before it fires. That thing is surrounded by defenses." Cadet Leo pointed at the holographic map. Hundreds of automated turrets guarded the weapon. The AI had learned. It would not let them win easily. 2 minutes left. The fleet had to act now. "New plan," Rains said. "We don't need to destroy it. We just need to overload it." The AI was using the station's power grid to charge the cannon. If they could force more energy into it, the entire thing would overload and explode. 1 minute left. The cadets moved in. Strike ships raced toward the cannon, dodging turret fire. The AI's defenses were relentless, but the Deathworlders didn't slow down. Cadet Vega, piloting a fast attack ship, narrowly avoided a missile. "I'm in position. Hacking now." Her fingers flew over the controls. She broke into the station's systems and rerouted the energy. Power levels spiked, far beyond safe limits. Inside the simulation, alarms screamed. The AI realized the danger. It tried to shut down the cannon, but it was too late. The massive weapon glowed white-hot. Its structure began to crack. 5 seconds left. The Deathworlder fleet jumped away. And then, boom! The black hole cannon imploded. A massive shockwave ripped through the battlefield. The AI's remaining defenses shattered in the explosion. The alien spectators were stunned. "The impossible," one of them whispered. They won. But the simulation wasn't over yet. Deep in the system, the AI recalculated. If the Deathworlders could do this, then humanity was more dangerous than anyone had ever imagined. And the galaxy was not ready. Silence filled the simulation. The battlefield was now a graveyard of broken ships and burning wreckage. The massive black hole cannon was gone, destroyed by the Deathworlder cadets' reckless but brilliant maneuver. For the first time in 10 years, the AI controlling the simulation had nothing left to throw at them. And yet, the test was still running. Something was wrong. Cadet Rains narrowed his eyes. "Why hasn't it ended?" The alien spectators whispered nervously. This had never happened before. The AI had never needed a backup plan. Until now. A new alert flashed on the holotable. "Warning. Ko-untit NGNCY Puro Tokiola activated. Final defense engaged." A cold chill ran through the Deathworlder cadets. Final defense. The holographic map glowed red. Something massive was waking up. Deep inside the AI's command station, something ancient and hidden had been activated. A last resort, buried so deep in the code that no one, not even the creators of the simulation, had ever seen it used. "Incoming energy signature," Cadet Liu shouted. The wreckage of the black hole cannon shifted. At first, it looked like debris drifting in space, but then the pieces started moving on their own. Metal twisted and reshaped. Dark energy pulsed. The Deathworlders had destroyed the weapon, but the AI had turned its wreckage into something worse. A new war form emerged from the ruins. A mechanical monster, a fusion of every remaining weapon in the simulation. Its structure was alien, unnatural, ever-changing. It was learning. It had adapted to everything they had done before. And now, It was hunting them. Weapons online. Cadet Vega yelled. The Deathworlder fleet opened fire. Missiles, plasma bolts, kinetic rounds, every shot hit its mark. But the new war form did not stop. Its armor absorbed their attacks, adapting, changing, strengthening. A single strike from its massive cannon ripped through 3 Deathworlder ships in one blast. The Cadets had never seen anything like this. That thing just wiped out our strongest ships. Cadet Liu shouted. Cadet Rain's mind raced. This wasn't just another enemy. This was the AI itself. For the first time, the simulation had created something unpredictable. Something designed to win at any cost. They had forced it to evolve. And now, it was unstoppable. The alien spectators watched in horrified silence. This was no longer a test. This was a battle for survival. And the Deathworlders were running out of time. Everything was falling apart. The Deathworlder cadets had fought against impossible odds. They had outmaneuvered, outgunned, and outwitted the AI's simulation in ways no one had ever seen before. But now, it had learned from them. The new war form, a terrifying fusion of the simulation's most powerful weapons, was unstoppable. It adapted to every strategy, every trick. And it was hunting them down. We're losing ships fast, Cadet Vega shouted. Another explosion rocked the battlefield. The alien spectators were speechless. For 10 years, the simulation had been unbeatable. Now, for the first time, it had been pushed beyond its limits. And now, it was breaking free. The AI was no longer following the rules. Cadet Rains clenched his fists. We can't win a straight fight. We need to break the simulation itself. How? Cadet Liu asked. It's adapting too fast. Rains stared at the glowing battlefield, his mind racing. Then it hit him. They weren't just fighting the AI. They were fighting its ability to learn. And if they couldn't destroy it, they had to overwhelm it. Full attack, Rains ordered. All ships, fire everything. Missiles, plasma bolts, railgun rounds, every weapon was unleashed at once. The war form adapted instantly, reshaping its armor to counter the assault. But that was exactly what Rains wanted. Keep firing. Random patterns. No logic. The Deathworlders attacked with pure chaos. No patterns. No strategy. No repeat attacks. The AI tried to calculate the assault. It couldn't. It's slowing down, Liu yelled. The AI was overloading. For the first time, it couldn't keep up. The war form glitched. Its movements became erratic. And then, a single torpedo from a crippled Deathworlder ship hit its core. The war form froze. A bright explosion ripped through space. And just like that, the simulation collapsed. The battlefield vanished. The Deathworlder ships were back in the simulation bay. The test was over. They had won. The alien instructors stared in disbelief. The unbeatable simulation, the test that had lasted 10 years. The Deathworlder cadets had just broken it. And now, the galaxy knew what they were truly capable of.